Hello there, Teeny Boy here, and welcome back to Mass Effect 3 Legendary Edition. Now, so that's going to be weird to try and say, but anyway, we can level up. Can we? Wait, can we? Yes, we can. We can level up. We're going to get you, because I'm not exactly going to be doing much stuff there, am I? Right, so we don't actually have anybody specific on my squad at the minute, so that's fine. We can sort that out another time. However, what we're going to be doing, this is going to be the Codex episode. So, oh my goodness, right. It's going to take a while, but here we are. Aliens, Council Species.
The Asari were the first species to discover the Citadel. When the Solarians arrived, it was the Asari who proposed the establishment of the Citadel Council to maintain peace throughout the galaxy. Since then, the Asari have served as the mediators and centrists of the Council. An all-female race, the Asari reproduce through a form of parthenogenesis. Each Asari can attune her nervous system to that of another individual of any gender and of any species to reproduce. This capability has led to unseemly and inaccurate rumors about Asari promiscuity. Asari can live for over 1,000 years, passing through 3 stages of life. In the maiden stage, they wander restlessly, seeking new knowledge and experience. When the matron stage begins, they meld with interesting partners to produce their offspring. This ends when they reach the matriarch stage, where they assume the roles of leaders and counselors.
And we will likely be seeing one of the, we will be speaking to the Asari Councillor when we go and visit the Council. Yeah, here we go, Solarians.
The second species to join the Citadel, the Solarians are warm-blooded amphibians with a hyperactive metabolism. Solarians think fast, talk fast, and move fast. To Solarians, other species seem sluggish and dull-witted. Unfortunately, their metabolic speed leaves them with a relatively short lifespan. Solarians over the age of 40 are a rarity. The Solarians were responsible for advancing the development of the primitive Krogan species to use as soldiers during the Rachni Wars. They were also behind the creation of the genophage bioweapon the Turians used to quell the Krogan rebellions several centuries later. Solarians are known for their observational capability and non-linear thinking. This manifests as an aptitude for research and espionage. They are constantly experimenting and inventing, and it is generally accepted that they always know more than they're letting on.
Yeah, well, they are the intelligence guys, so that's most likely accurate. Turians.
Roughly 1,200 years ago, the Turians were invited to join the Citadel Council to fulfill the role of galactic peacekeepers. The Turians have the largest fleet in Citadel space, and they make up the single largest portion of the Council's military forces. As their territory and influence has spread, the Turians have come to rely on the Solarians for military intelligence and the Asari for diplomacy. Despite a somewhat colonial attitude towards the rest of the galaxy, the ruling hierarchy understands they would lose more than they would gain if the other 2 races were ever removed. Turians come from an autocratic society that values discipline and possesses a strong sense of personal and collective honor. There is lingering animosity between Turians and humans over the First Contact War of 2157, which is known as the Relay 314 incident to the Turians. Officially, however, the 2 species are allies, and they enjoy civil, if cool, diplomatic relations.
Okay, no. So, does that mean that there are at least 314 relays that are accounted for? I don't know, let's have a look. Aliens, extinct species.
50,000 years ago, the Protheans were the only spacefaring species in the galaxy. They vanished in a swift galactic extinction. Only the legacy of their empire remains. They are believed to have built the mass relays and the Citadel, which have allowed numerous species to explore and expand throughout the galaxy.
Well, we know that's not true.
Ruins are found on worlds across the galaxy. While surprisingly intact for their age, functioning examples of Prothean paleotechnology are rare. Time and generations of looters have picked their dead cities and derelict stations clean. Some believe the Protheans meddled in the evolution of younger races. The Hanar homeworld of Kage, for example, shows clear evidence of former Prothean occupation. The presence of a former Prothean observation post on Mars has caused a rebirth of interventionary evolutionists among humans. These individuals believe the god myths of ancient civilizations are misremembered encounters with aliens.
Quite possibly. But yeah, so we have long since had confirmation that the Protheans did not, in fact, build the they did not in fact build the mass relays on the Citadel. The Reapers did that. And also, I like how for the Protheans they've shown this screenshot. That was probably the original design of the Protheans. However, we now know that the Collectors are the Protheans, so I don't know why that's there. Let's have a look. Aliens non-council. Well, I suppose that's supposed to be because I think the idea behind these things are that they're almost like Google searches for the Codex, so it's not showing us an image. Well, no, because no, that still doesn't make sense because we're shown screenshots from battles that haven't happened yet in Mass Effect 1. But it doesn't matter anyway. Let's not think about it. Aliens non-council races.
In the early 2160s, the Alliance began aggressive colonization of worlds in the Skyllian Verge, much to the dismay of the Batarians who had been developing the region for several decades. In 2171, the Batarians petitioned the Council to declare the Verge a zone of Batarian interest. The Council refused, however, declaring unsettled worlds in the region open to human colonization. In protest, the Batarians closed their Citadel embassy and severed official diplomatic relations with the Council, effectively becoming a rogue state. They instigated a proxy war in the Verge by funneling money and weapons to criminal organizations, urging them to strike at human colonies. Hostilities peaked with the Skyllian Blitz of 2176, an attack on the human capital of Elysium by Batarian-funded pirates and slavers. In 2178, the Alliance retaliated with a crushing assault on the moon of Torfan, long used as a staging base by Batarian-backed criminals. In the aftermath, the Batarians retreated into their own systems and are now rarely seen in Citadel space.
Yeah, okay. Well, fortunately, we were there at the Skyllian Blitz and we prevented the city from falling. All right. Yeah, there we go. So Drell.
2 centuries ago, the Hanar helped 375,000 members of the Drell race migrate to the Hanar homeworld Kage to escape the environmental extermination that had claimed the remaining 11 billion Drell. Nearly all Drell demonstrate tremendous loyalty to their famously reclusive saviors. The intimacy of their relationship, expressed in a formal socio-political alliance called the Compact, also results in extremely close personal relations, in which some Drell actually learn Hanar soul names. While most Drell reside on Kage, some assist Hanar off-world as envoys, researchers, co-investors, wayfarers, assassins, or otherwise, eager to help their saviors. For a century, galactic wisdom has held that behind any high-ranking Hanar hides a resourceful and fanatically devoted Drell. The omnivorous reptilian Drell possess an average lifespan of 85 galactic standard years. Having evolved on an arid planet, Drell face serious illness on the Hanar homeworld, especially Kepral's syndrome, a fatal bacterial lung disease.
So Thane, I wonder what's happened to Thane. Where he's been in those months, as because he had Keppel syndrome. He didn't. It was. They said that the Hanar were researching a cure for it, but didn't currently have one. So we don't. I don't know if he's dead yet, or if he's still about, or I don't know what happened to. I mean, we're on the Normandy now. We don't seem to have met many people, so I don't know if everyone just left, or like they did in Mass Effect 1 at the end of Mass Effect 1. I'm not sure. But anyway, at the beginning of Mass Effect 2, I should say. Right, we've got the Elcor.
The Elcor are a Citadel species native to the high-gravity world Dakuna. They are massive creatures standing on 4 muscular legs for increased stability. Elcor move slowly, an evolved response to an environment where a fall can be lethal. This has colored their psychology, making them deliberate and conservative. Elcor speech is ponderous and monotone. Among themselves, scent, slight movements, and sub-vocalized infrasound convey shades of meaning that make a human smile seem as subtle as a fireworks display. Since their subtlety can lead to misunderstandings with other species, the Elcor often go out of their way to clarify when they are being sarcastic, amused, or angry. Dakuna's high gravity impedes mountain formation. Most of the world consists of flat, open plains, which prehistoric Elcor wandered across in small family bands. Modern Elcor still prefer open sky, and can become restless and uncomfortable on long starship journeys.
Okay. I mean, so that's so Dakuna's got high gravity, and the Presidium is like a third. The Presidium on the Citadel is like a third of a third of Earth's gravity. So these guys probably do not fare well here, but here they are on the Presidium. Is that not the Elcor and the Volus from the first game? It looks like it might be. I don't know, because the Elcor was behind the desk in the first one. I don't know. Maybe I'm just profiling. I don't know. We've got the Geth.
The Geth are a humanoid race of networked AIs. They were created by the Quarians 300 years ago as tools of labor and war. When the Geth showed signs of self-evolution, the Quarians attempted to exterminate them. The Geth won the resulting war. This example has led to legal, systematic repression of artificial intelligences in galactic society. The Geth possess a unique distributed intelligence. An individual has rudimentary animal instincts, but as their numbers and proximity increase, the apparent intelligence of each individual improves. In groups, they can reason, analyze situations, and use tactics as well as any organic race. Geth space is located at the trailing end of the Perseus Arm, beyond the lawless Terminus systems. The Perseus Veil, an obscuring dark nebula of opaque gas and dust, lies between their space and the Terminus systems.
Fair enough. Ah, yes, well and truly secluded from galactic society. That's gonna be important. Well, I mean, it's so important in so many ways, and just wait until we get to Legion another time. I still cannot believe how specific and almost deliberate that Codex log went. If we see that same Codex log again, which we probably will, I'll point it out. It's hilarious considering what happens in this game. No spoilers. Anyway.
The Hanar are a Citadel species known for excessive politeness. They speak with scrupulous precision and take offense at improper language. Hanar that expect to deal with other species take special courses to help them unlearn their tendency to take offense at improper speech. All Hanar have two names. The face name is known to the world. The soul name is kept for use among close friends and relations. Hanar never refer to themselves in the first person in conversation with someone they know on a face name basis. To do so is considered egotistical, so instead they refer to themselves as this one, or the impersonal it. Their homeworld, Kage, has 90% ocean cover and orbits an energetic white star, resulting in a permanent blanket of clouds. Due to the presence of Prothean ruins on the world, many Hanar worship them, and Hanar myths often speak of an elder race that civilized them by teaching them language.
Very well.
When the Asari discovered the Citadel, they also discovered the Keepers, a docile, multi-limbed insect race that seemingly exists only to maintain and repair the great Prothean station. Early attempts to communicate with or study the Keepers were failures, and it is now illegal to interfere with or impede Keeper activity. Because they are completely non-threatening, Keepers have become virtually invisible to everyone else. Similarly, they seem indifferent to other species, except for their tendency to help new arrivals integrate themselves into the Citadel. No matter how many Keepers die due to old age, violence, or accident, they maintain a constant number. No one has discovered the source of new Keepers, but some hypothesize they are genetic constructs, biological androids created somewhere deep in the inaccessible core of the Citadel itself.
Makes sense. Yes, we obviously at this point know the true origin of. Well, no, actually, we don't know the origin of the Keepers, but we know what their purpose is in the cycle conducted by the Reapers. They are no longer of help to the Reapers because the Protheans sorted that one out for us. So thanks to them. But yes, all the setbacks that we have conducted on the Reapers, all the setbacks that were put in place by the Protheans and us, if the Reapers win this cycle, they will correct those. They will correct those mistakes, and the next the next civilization that comes after us, if the Reapers are not defeated, they will not have the chance that we have had. So we've got somewhere to be in the next video. Oh dear.
The Krogan evolved in a hostile and vicious
Right,
environment.
hang on. Let me go all the way down here so I've got the whole menu. Right, Krogans.
The Krogan evolved in a hostile and vicious environment. Until the invention of gunpowder weapons, eaten by predators was still the #1 cause of Krogan fatalities. Afterwards, it was death by gunshot. When the Solarians discovered them, the Krogan were a brutal, primitive species struggling to survive a self-inflicted nuclear winter. The Solarians culturally uplifted them, teaching them to use and build modern technology so they could serve as soldiers in the Rachni War. Liberated from the harsh conditions of their homeworld, the quick-breeding Krogan experienced an unprecedented population explosion. They began to colonize nearby worlds, even though these worlds were already inhabited. The Krogan rebellions lasted nearly a century, only ending when the Turians unleashed the Genophage, a Solarian-developed bioweapon that crushed all Krogan resistance. The Genophage makes only 1 in 1,000 pregnancies viable, and today the Krogan are a slowly dying breed. Understandably, the Krogan harbor a grudge against all other species, especially the Turians.
Well, eventually we'll be able to sort that out, but because we know why Morden. If you remember when Morden updated the genophage, so to speak, and made sure that the genophage was still present in all Krogan after they started evolving in resistance to it. He's explained that the genophage can only be removed when the genophage should only be removed when the Krogans are culturally advanced, not technologically or population based. Not technologically advanced, because but Rex is sorting that one out. The Krogans are gathering a hold over their warmongering ways. Not warmongering. Rex is getting control of the clans. He's uniting them, and he's putting a stop to the war. And we're gonna need the Krogans. So can't wait to meet Rex again. Quarians.
Driven from their home system by the Geth nearly 3 centuries ago, most Quarians now live aboard the Migrant Fleet, a flotilla of 50,000 vessels ranging in size from passenger shuttles to mobile space stations. Home to 17 million Quarians, the flotilla understandably has scarce resources. Because of this, each Quarian must go on a rite of passage known as the pilgrimage when they come of age. They leave the fleet and only return once they have found something of value they can bring back to their people. Other species tend to look down on the Quarians for creating the Geth and for the negative impact their fleet has when it enters a system. This has led to many myths and rumors about the Quarians, including the belief that underneath their clothes and breathing masks, they are actually cybernetic creatures, a combination of organic and synthetic parts.
Well, I'm fairly confident that is not the case. Well, we were in the process of kindling Geth and Quarian relations, starting with Legion and Tali. So maybe eventually they will be able to return to Rannoch. Volus.
The Volus are a member species of the Citadel with their own embassy, but they are also a client race of the Turians. Centuries ago, they were voluntarily absorbed into the hierarchy, effectively trading their mercantile prowess for Turian military protection. Irun, their home world, lies far beyond the normal life zone of its star. However, the world has a high-pressure greenhouse atmosphere that traps enough heat to support an ammonia-based biochemistry. As a result, the Volus must wear pressure suits and breathers when dealing with other species, as conventional nitrogen-oxygen air mixtures are poisonous to them. And in the low-pressure atmospheres tolerable to most species, their flesh will actually split open. Volus culture is tribal, bartering lands and even people to gain status. This culture of exchange inclines them to economic pursuits. It was the Volus who authorized the Unified Banking Act, and they continue to monitor and balance the Citadel economy.
Fair enough. And what have we got? Oh, no, that's it. That's the end of that one. All right, nice. We've got Citadel and Galactic Government.
The Citadel is an ancient deep space station presumably constructed by the Protheans. Since the Prothean extinction, numerous species have come to call the Citadel home. It serves as the political, cultural, and financial capital of the galactic community. To represent their interests, most species maintain embassies on the Presidium, the Citadel's inner ring. The Citadel Tower in the center of the Presidium holds the Citadel Council chambers. Council affairs often have far-reaching effects on the rest of the galactic community. 5 arms, known as the wards, extend from the Presidium. Their inner surfaces have been built into cities, populated by millions of inhabitants from across the galaxy. The Citadel is virtually indestructible. If attacked, the station can close its arms to form a solid, impregnable shell. For as long as the station has existed, an enigmatic race called the Keepers has maintained it.
Okay, no, well, let's hope that the Citadel is indeed virtually indestructible, because we do not want the Reapers getting a hold of that. Spectres.
Spectres are agents from the Office of Special Tactics and Reconnaissance and answer only to the Citadel Council. They are elite military operatives, granted the authority to deal with threats to peace and stability in whatever way they deem necessary. They operate independently or in groups of 2 or 3. Some are empathetic peacekeepers resolving disputes through diplomacy. Others are cold-blooded assassins, ruthlessly dispatching problem individuals. All get the job done one way or another, often operating outside the bounds of galactic law. The Spectres were founded after the Solarians joined the Council. For many years, they operated in secrecy as backroom problem solvers. Only after the Krogan rebellions did their activities become publicized. Assignment of a Spectre is less contentious than a military deployment, but makes it clear that the Council is concerned about a situation.
Yes, we do kind of need to get the Spectre status back, because, quite frankly, we need to be places, and we can't have we can't have things getting in the way of that. Humanity and the Systems Alliance.
Earth, the home world and capital of humanity, was enjoying a new golden age before the Reapers attacked. Disease, pollution, and other social ills were on the decline, thanks to technological advances and a wealth of resources from the colonies. Earth was an inspiration even to alien cultures, resulting in influence out of proportion with humanity's brief time on the galactic stage. The Reaper attack has put an end to any semblance of this former life. The great cities of Earth are storehouses of human DNA for the Reapers to harvest. Reaper gunships, capable of megaton-scale firepower, annihilated industrial centers in seconds. The militaries of Earth's disparate nation-states have retained only partial communication with the Systems Alliance fleets, leaving the planet's resistance efforts uncoordinated and vulnerable. The loss of the comm-buoy network has cut off Earth's economy from the rest of the galaxy, sending shockwaves across galactic markets and a significant obstacle to receiving aid.
Well, there's a significant obstacle to receiving aid that they shall not be putting an end to, and that is Commander Shepard of the SR2 Normandy and the company, the crew, and the rest of galactic community. Rise of the Alliance.
A political economic pact for collective colonial security, the Alliance is the central galactic institution of human society. The Alliance gained associate membership to the Citadel Council in 2165 and assumed leadership in 2183, with former Ambassador Donald Udina presiding. Many species regard humanity as a rogue race, and its 2183 victory following the attack on Eden Prime as a brutal and calculated sacrifice of its military rivals. Humans allegedly leveraged military victory into a political one, carving associate membership out of the deaths of the Council. Because of the human Spectre Shepard's pivotal role in defending the Citadel, many analysts conclude several humans will be made candidates for Spectre status, further solidifying the human contribution to galactic peace. By achieving in decades what others waited centuries to receive, especially after so bloody a conflict, humans have guaranteed themselves deep hostility and fear throughout the galaxy.
Which was never the intention, god damn it, Udina. Should have figured that leaving it to chance would have resulted in Udina automatically taking the throne there, especially after the original playthrough was Anderson, so I should have picked him anyway, but god damn it. Anyway, Systems Alliance.
The Systems Alliance is an independent supranational government representing the interests of humanity as a whole. The Alliance is responsible for the governance and defense of all extrasolar colonies and stations. The Alliance grew out of the various national space programs as a matter of practicality. Sol's planets had been explored and exploited through piecemeal national efforts. The expense of colonizing entire new solar systems could not be met by any one country. With humans knowing that alien contact was inevitable, there was enough political will to jointly fund an international effort. Still, the Alliance was often disregarded by those on Earth until the First Contact War. While the national governments dithered and bickered over who should lead the effort to liberate Shanxi, the Alliance fleet struck decisively. Post-war public approval gave the Alliance the credibility to establish its own parliament and become the galactic face of humanity.
Good for them lot. Yeah, so we'll probably figure out the, we'll probably get the Codex log on Shanxi soon enough. Known Associates.
Admiral Stephen Hackett is a decorated officer in the Systems Alliance, currently assigned to Arcturus Station on the far side of the Sol Relay. In the battle for the Citadel, Admiral Hackett commanded the 5th Fleet. Following that victory, he was promoted to head of the Alliance military. Hackett was born to a single mother in Buenos Aires in 2134. When his mother died in the pandemic of 2146, he was placed in the Advanced Training Academy for Juveniles, where his superior talents in science and leadership quickly became evident. Hackett enlisted in 2152, volunteering for high-risk missions to colonize space beyond the Sol Relay. He was commissioned as a second lieutenant on Arcturus Station in 2156, and soon proved his ability in the First Contact War. His rare ascent from enlisted man to admiral remains an Alliance legend.
GG. Alright, very well. We've got close relations with this guy, and we're gonna... Oh boy. He's gonna be useful against the Reapers. David Anderson.
Admiral David Edward Anderson is a career military officer in the Systems Alliance Navy.
He looks tired.
Born in London in 2137, he later moved to Arcturus Station and became the first graduate of the Alliance's now renowned N7 Marine program. Anderson is one of the Alliance's most decorated Special Forces operatives and served with honor during the First Contact War. He was the original captain of the SSV Normandy before relinquishing command to his XO, Commander Shepard. After the Alliance victory in the Battle of the Citadel, Anderson was promoted to admiral and chosen to advise Citadel Counselor Donald Udina on military matters. Anderson later became embroiled in a Cerberus plot to abduct his friend Kaylee Sanders, but he foiled the abduction and returned to duty to prepare for the Reaper invasion.
Okay, well, we didn't exactly prepare very well, but then again, they are the Reapers. And, oh boy, we're gonna get the entire galaxy in on this. Because that is the only thing that will stop the Reapers. That is, if we are going to stop the Reapers, we are going to do it with everybody. If the Reapers are going to continue the cycle for 1,000,000 more years, they best be prepared to take on the entire galaxy. Not in isolation. They will sprawl over the galaxy and take everybody out one by one at the same time, so to speak. But, oh, that's not going to be the way it plays out. Ashley Williams.
Lieutenant Commander Ashley Williams is a career military officer with the Systems Alliance. Born in 2158 to a military family, Williams enlisted directly out of high school, splitting time between Earth and hostile environment training on Titan. After earning numerous commendations early in her career, Williams became a platoon guide on Eden Prime, where she was the only member of her unit to survive the Geth attack. Williams then served as gunnery chief under Commander Shepard on the SSV Normandy and was promoted to lieutenant commander after the Battle of the Citadel. More recently, an Alliance tribunal called on Williams to testify about her experience with the Reapers.
Okie doke. We didn't exactly get that far, unfortunately. She didn't, if they'd only held this committee earlier, then maybe we would have been able to do something, but oh god, bureaucracy usually gets in the way of things like that, does it not? Dr. Liara Tassoni.
Dr. Liara Tassoni is an Asari information broker with a background in scientific research on Prothean technology. Born on Thessia in 2077, she is the only child of the late matriarch Benezia. Although mother and daughter became estranged in the years before Benezia was indoctrinated by the Reaper known as Sovereign. Tassoni is also a highly trained biotic who served under Commander Shepard aboard the SSV Normandy before the ship was destroyed in a collector attack. Before she became involved in galactic affairs, Dr. Tassoni spent 50 years researching the Protheans' technology and the mystery of their extinction. She now divides her time between uncovering Prothean ruins and consulting with noteworthy representatives of the various Citadel races.
Hmm. Well, she is also the Shadow Broker. I don't understand. I don't know how Admiral Hackett knows that she was the Shadow Broker. It would have made more sense if she had, like, approached him, but not the other way around. Because, I mean, like, unless we're supposed to believe that Shepard told Admiral Hackett, but I mean, we didn't exactly see that happen. I feel like that would have been. I feel like that's almost like a decision you would leave to the player. It's like, right, do you tell? Because nobody's supposed to know who the nobody is supposed to know who the Shadow Broker is. That's kind of why they're called the Shadow Broker. Nobody knows, even their like closest, even their closest associates. So I feel like that would be a pretty interesting choice for the player to make. But anyway, let's go. We've got Jeff Joker Moreau. I'm pretty sure in one of the last videos of Mass Effect 2 I called him Monroe, like an idiot, but oh well.
Flight Lieutenant Jeff Joker Moreau is a respected pilot with the Alliance Navy. Born and raised on Arcturus Station, he is widely considered to be the best helmsman in the Systems Alliance. Moreau enlisted with the Navy directly out of school and quickly gained the respect of his superiors. He served as pilot of both the Normandy SR-1 and its successor, the SR-2, and was at their respective helms during the Battle of the Citadel and the assault on the Collectors. Moreau suffers from Vrolik syndrome, a rare debilitating disorder also known as brittle bone disease.
Now, I was under the impression that it was not known as the SR-1, it was known as the SSV. Make your damn mind up. Anyway, we've got, that's it for that one, known associates. I'm surprised we don't have, like, all the, what the known associates from the crew that we had, but I don't know. Maybe that'll be in Codex Secondary, I don't know. Anyway, we've got organizations.
In recent years, the pro-human syndicate known as Cerberus has seen its influence grow galaxy-wide. The largely untraceable organization now includes private intelligence agencies, biotics laboratories, research facilities, and the lucrative corporations that provide a front for it all. Cerberus's charismatic leader, known only as the Elusive Man, drives the organization's philosophy and interests. The level of secrecy he maintains puts professional intelligence agencies to shame. As Cerberus grows, so too does public distrust of the organization. Some commentators have remarked that Cerberus is not so much pro-human as it is anti-alien. Others question the blind loyalty of its employees.
Well, we were never exactly loyal to Cerberus. They gave us a ship, they brought us back to life, and then we destroyed the Collectors. They weren't too happy with that, so screw them. And now, obviously, the Elusive Man's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder that I will indeed knock off. So, Cerberus, the Elusive Man.
The Elusive Man is a human loyalist focused on advancing the interests of his species, whatever the cost to non-humans and reportedly humans. The Citadel Council regards him as a fanatic who poses a serious threat to galactic security.
Well, now he does.
The reclusive tycoon is the head of Cerberus, an organization that furthers his pro-human agenda throughout the galaxy. His views have led him into questionable alliances. Recent rumors go so far as to suggest that the Elusive Man may even have allied with the Reapers.
I'm not quite sure why that would be, unless, of course, he's been indoctrinated. So let's, I mean, he was very much obsessed with Reaper technology, so there you go, it fits. Ships and vehicles.
Cerberus built the Normandy SR-2 as a second-generation version of the Alliance frigate SSV Normandy after the Collectors destroyed the original. The SR-2's many alterations produced a craft nearly double the original size, requiring an even larger Tantalus drive core to compensate. Its state-of-the-art Kodiak shuttle can make landings the original Normandy could not attempt. The Enhanced Defense Intelligence, an AI known colloquially as EDI, coordinates many of the ship's combat functions, assisting and even supplanting human piloting. The Alliance has recently appropriated and refurbished the SR-2. In addition to tight beam communicators, the Quantum Entanglement Communicator, QEC, provides instantaneous contact with Alliance command.
That is immensely useful. Thank you very much for that. Yes, I thought the Normandy looked a bit different with that whole map in the center. Like, oh, okay, all right. We've got the UT-47A Kodiak.
Originally created to covertly insert Alliance Marines into hostile environments, the UT-47 shuttle has since been sold to Allies, recovered by enemies, and had its specifications stolen by spies. In one form or another, this durable transport is now used in all corners of the galaxy. A-model Kodiaks feature a front-mounted mass accelerator cannon that can be used in an anti-vehicular role. Since the shuttle lacks proper gun ports, soldiers often open the side hatch to fire on enemies. This is discouraged in Alliance manuals since it exposes the interior to return fire. Flying the 47A during atmospheric combat requires considerable skill. The pilot must reduce the vehicle's mass for speed and handling while maintaining enough mass to resist recoil, incoming fire, and inclement weather. More than one pilot has overstressed the Kodiak's field generator and ended up on the battlefield instead of above it.
As would most likely happen. We've got the Normandy armor upgrade, the Solaris armor.
Asari-made Solaris armor can resist even the tremendous heat and kinetic energy of starship weapons. The armor is nearly unsurpassed in strength because its central material, carbon nanotube sheets woven with diamond chemical vapor deposition, are crushed by mass effect fields into super-dense layers, able to withstand extreme temperatures. That process also compensates for the diamond's brittleness. Diamond armor itself has two limiting disadvantages. First, while nanotubes and CVD diamond construction have become cheaper in recent years, it remains prohibitively expensive to coat starships or aircraft larger than fighters in Solaris material. Second, the armor must be attached to the ship's superstructure, so shock waves from massive firepower can still destroy the metals beneath the armor itself. A popular misconception holds that the diamond composition of Solaris armor gives it a sparkle. In fact, atmospheric nitrogen impurities during the super-hot forging process give the armor a metallic gray or yellow sheen.
Well, as long as it protects us from damage, and it most certainly did in the Collector attack. We were so close to getting everybody else, everybody out. Like I said before, it sucks that Morden died, but we were bound to get one person at least dead. I'm happy for the most part with the results, but it would have been awesome if we successfully gotten everybody out, because I was very much hoping for it. Yeah, I was very much hoping for it. In fact, while I was editing it, and I kept I was removing my face for cutscenes where Shepard wasn't present and things like that. I was watching back some of the clips, and I thought, you know what, the music in the background, the visuals, this would have been so great if I'd successfully gotten everybody out, because I was harping on a lot about how it wasn't going to happen. I was like, oh, it's a pipe dream, it's not going to happen, and it didn't. It turns out I was right, it didn't happen. It would have been so awesome if I'd been proven wrong and I actually managed to get everybody out. Oof, would have been good, but that's not how it works. I won't lie. I was tempted to re-record it and just sort of pretend that I hadn't done it. The thought occurred to me. Didn't do it, obviously, but it occurred to me at least. I wasn't super tempted. It wasn't like I didn't have to force myself not to, but the thought was there. We've got Normandy shield upgrade, cyclonic barrier technology.
Cyclonic barrier technology, CBT, attempts to solve the higher-end limitations of traditional kinetic barriers. Traditional barriers cannot block high-level kinetic energy attacks, such as disruptor torpedoes, because torpedo mass effect fields add mass. The CBT violently slaps aside rather than halting incoming linear force. By rotationally firing their mass effect field projectors, ships create rapidly oscillating kinetic barriers instead of static ones. Shooting through the CBT is like trying to shoot at a target inside a spinning ball. Significant drawbacks to current CBT configuration prevent its use on anything other than frigates and fighters. Its many high-frequency sensors and emitters require frequent maintenance and replacement. A partially damaged CBT can endanger its operator, who is surrounded by rotating mass effect fields, skewing in unpredictable directions. Fortunately, if an emitter is damaged, the CBT corrects to become a traditional shield array, a safety feature that makes it most effective during opening volleys.
Oh, yes, that will most certainly come in handy. If we can equip that onto a bunch of fighters and frigates, you know, it probably won't work on things like dreadnoughts, but oh my goodness, it would be powerful if it did. Anyway, let's get this going. We've got the Normandy Thanix Magnetic Hydrodynamic Cannon.
After the Battle of the Citadel, human and Turian volunteers spent 3 months clearing the station's orbit of debris. During the cleanup, the Turians secretly salvaged Sovereign's powerful main gun, along with much of the weapon's Element Zero core. 11 months later, the Turians introduced the Thanix, a scaled-down version of the weapon. The Thanix's core is a liquid alloy of iron, uranium, and tungsten, suspended in an electromagnetic field powered by Element Zero. The molten metal, accelerated to a significant fraction of the speed of light, solidifies into a projectile as it is fired, hitting targets with enough force to pierce any known shield or armor. The gun can fire reliably every 5 seconds. The weapon's relatively small size allows it to be mounted on most fighters or frigates. It is now widely used by the Alliance military and is the primary weapon on the refurbished Normandy SR-2.
Oh yes, the Thanix Cannon, the weapon that Sovereign used, and the weapon that two-shot the Collector vessel. Oh my goodness. That is now widely used by the Alliance military. I very much hope that the Asari, Turians, Solarians, Krogan... No, I mean, obviously the Krogans and stuff aren't going to have that technology yet, but the Turians, Asari, and Solarians are in the process of equipping this technology. The Turians would have given the technology to Asari and Solarians, surely. The Turians, oh my goodness, we want them on our side if we've got... We want everyone on our side, and we are going to get everybody. No one is going to not be on our side. When we try to retake Earth, every race and every combat-capable ship is going to be in that battle. We are going to make sure of it. Well, that's the end of that. Anyway, so yeah, we need to, we will. I have no, we have made sure. Stop. Right. We had a ridiculous amount of resources at the end of Mass Effect 2. The Alliance, the Turians, Asari, and Solarians are welcome to help themselves to those if it would help your fighters and frigates equip some cyclonic shield barriers, armor, and Thanix cannons, because oh my goodness, those are going to come in handy. I want to see something. I want to see the Thanix cannon fired at some Reapers. That would be glorious. Spoilers, you never get to see that happen. They just look like normal. Everyone just has the normal guns that they've had, even the Normandy, but it doesn't even fire at anything. Spoilers, but oh well. Technology.
Biotics is the ability of rare individuals to manipulate dark energy and create mass effect fields through the use of electrical impulses from the brain. Intense training and surgically implanted amplifiers are necessary for a biotic to produce mass effect fields powerful enough for practical use. The relative strength of biotic abilities varies greatly among species and with each individual. There are 3 branches of biotics. Telekinesis uses mass-lowering fields to levitate or impel objects. Mass-raising kinetic fields are used to block or pin objects. Distortion uses rapidly shifting mass fields to shred objects. Most organic species are capable of developing biotic abilities, though there are risks involved. Biotics are the result of in utero exposure to Element Zero. This usually causes fatal cancers in the victim, but in rare cases it coalesces into nodules within the fetus's developing nervous system.
Okay, yeah, so we've got Element Zero, EZO.
When subjected to an electrical current, The rare material dubbed Element Zero, or EZO, emits a dark energy field that raises or lowers the mass of all objects within it. This mass effect is used in countless ways, from generating artificial gravity to manufacturing high-strength construction materials. It is most prominently used to enable faster-than-light space travel. EZO is generated when solid matter, such as a planet, is affected by the energy of a star going supernova. The material is common in the asteroid debris that orbits neutron stars and pulsars. These are dangerous places to mine, requiring extensive use of robotics, telepresence, and shielding to survive the incredible radiation from the dead star. Only a few major corporations can afford the setup costs required to work these primary sources. Humanity discovered refined Element Zero at the Prothean Research Station on Mars, allowing them to create mass effect fields and develop FTL travel.
Okie doke. Hang on. EZO is generated when solid matter, such as a planet, is affected by the energy of a star going supernova. So if a star goes supernova, like the one on Haestrom, the planets, so to speak, turn into EZO. Or EZO is formed from that destruction. Okie doke. So I wonder if Haestrom was deliberate then. If that star was deliberate. Did the Reapers have something to do with that? I don't believe that we actually ever find out that answer. Excuse me. I don't believe we actually ever find out what the purpose of what the story behind Haestrom was. I know of something, but I'm gonna have to stay quiet on it. Okay, right. So I believe that Haestrom's star, the reason why they brought that up in Mass Effect 2 is because it had something to do with the original plan for explaining the Reaper's motivations. We'll be getting a very different explanation on their motivations in this game. We'll get there when we get there. We will get there when we get there. And then we'll rapidly leave because it is abysmal. Anyway, Mass Effect fields.
Element Zero can increase or decrease the mass of a volume of space-time when subjected to an electrical current. With a positive current, mass is increased. With a negative current, mass is decreased. The stronger the current, the greater the magnitude of the dark energy mass effect. In space, low-mass fields allow FTL travel and inexpensive surface-to-orbit transit. High-mass fields create artificial gravity and push space debris away from vessels. In manufacturing, low-mass fields permit the creation of evenly blended alloys, while high-mass compaction creates dense, sturdy construction materials. The military makes extensive use of mobility-enhancing technologies, with Mass Effect utilizing fighting vehicles standard frontline issue in most military forces. Mass Effect fields are also essential in the creation of kinetic barriers or shields to protect against enemy fire.
Okie doke. So, yes, EZO is essentially... Well, no. Wait, did it say EZO? Yeah. EZO is essentially... like very critical in the use in creating shields. Potentially the more, well, it's not specifically more EZO. It's the stronger the electrical current going through the EZO. But you know, if you've got a bigger amount of EZO and a bigger amount of electrical current, then naturally you're gonna have stronger shields. So I think we can guess how Sovereign and the Reapers have extensively powerful shields. It's a lot of EZO. It's a lot of EZO, and it's a lot of it's a lot of EZO and a lot of electrical current. We've got mass relays.
Once believed to be of Prothean origin, mass relays were in fact created by the Reapers, using technology far beyond that of other living species. The enormous structures, scattered throughout the stars, create corridors of virtually mass-free space. This allows instantaneous transit between locations normally separated by years or even centuries, using conventional FTL drives. Primary mass relays can propel ships thousands of light years. The flight path, however, is fixed to a single relay elsewhere in the galaxy. By contrast, secondary relays, while only capable of propelling ships a few hundred light years, can reach any other relay within their limited range. Many primary relays lie dormant, their destinations not yet known. These relays are often left inactive on purpose, as established civilizations are unwilling to blindly open a passage that might connect them to a new hostile species. The Reapers do not share the same concern, and freely use the dormant relays.
Well, good for them. Guess what? We shall be doing the same once those relays are activated, and we will traverse the galaxy in every way necessary, going where we shall, and eventually we're going to turn these relays against the Reapers. They are going to wish they do not have the mass relays, because, oh my goodness. We can use them too, Chief. Medigel.
Medigel is a common medicinal salve used by paramedics, EMTs, and military personnel. It combines several useful applications: a local anesthetic, disinfectant, and clotting agent all in one. Once applied, the gel is designed to grip tight to flesh until subjected to a frequency of ultrasound. It is sealable against liquids, most notably blood, as well as contaminants and gases. The gel is a genetically engineered bioplasm created by the CERTA Foundation, a medical technology megacorp based on Earth. Technically, Medigel violates Council laws against genetic engineering, but so far it has proved far too useful to ban.
Oh, good for you guys, because it's saved us a few times, and it shall be doing so a lot more in this game, because health does not regen the way it did in Mass Effect 2. Omnitool.
Omnitools are handheld devices that combine a computer microframe, sensor analysis pack, and manufacturing fabricator. Versatile and reliable, an Omnitool can be used to analyze and adjust the functionality of most standard equipment, including weapons and armor, from a distance.
Oops, no, hang on. Sorry about that. 2
Omnitools are
seconds.
handheld devices that combine a computer microframe, sensor analysis pack, and manufacturing fabricator. Versatile and reliable, an Omnitool can be used to analyze and adjust the functionality of most standard equipment, including weapons and armor, from a distance. The fabrication module can rapidly assemble small three-dimensional objects from common reusable industrial plastics, ceramics, and light alloys. This allows for field repairs and modifications to most standard items, as well as the reuse of salvaged equipment. Omnitools are standard issue for soldiers and first-in colonists.
Well, they're not exactly as useful as they used to be, because we can't alter the mods on our weapons. Unless we can, and it's just a button the game did not alert me of. And it's not a button on the damn controller. But anyway, we've got the Reapers. Now, what on earth kind of information do we have on these fellas that is public knowledge in a codex?
The Reaper, called Harbinger, is believed to be the oldest and largest in the Reaper Armada.
How and why?
In the reaches of dark space, Harbinger managed to control the Collectors, a race of human-sized insectoid bipeds, as it sent them on a campaign to kill and gather humans from vulnerable colonies. The Collectors became a terrifying force in the galaxy, responsible for the murder of hundreds of thousands. Surviving colonists have described the tone of Harbinger's threats heard through the Collectors as they attacked as visceral and terrifying. Alliance intelligence has tentatively identified Harbinger as one of the Reapers leading the attack on Earth.
May I ask how? Like, nobody's seen Harbinger. I mean, they would have seen him on Earth, but how would they have identified him as Harbinger? And how, may I ask... okay, well, I suppose... He's the oldest. It's like, okay, but how do we know that? How could we possibly know that? Second, largest, I suppose, you know, from what you've seen, you would be able to tell that he's the largest. Like, if you've seen a fleet of Reapers, you'd be like, oh, that one's the biggest. Like, yeah, sure. How would you know that... Like, I guess if... I guess the biggest one you would just kind of assume is Harbinger. You'd be like, I guess that must be Harbinger. But I don't know how how would you would guess that, but how would you know it? It says has tentatively identified. Right, okay, right. So they don't actually know for sure. It's just sort of, it's probably the case. It is guesswork. Okay, dope. Cannibal. What on earth is going on down there? All right. Yeah. How on earth do we know he's the oldest? Sure. The Collectors became a terrifying force. Blah 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 blah. Okay, no, sure. So the surviving colonists have heard Harbinger. Yep. All right. The Reapers.
A myth common to several cultures in the galaxy, Reapers were once imagined as space monsters that consumed entire stars. Archaeologists who searched for the sources of such myths found little besides the themes of all-consuming devils that are common to primitive cultures. Although accurate information about the Reapers remains scarce, the galaxy now knows that the Reapers are not a myth. They are a real and devastating threat.
It's about time. But don't worry, that's not the point anymore, because the point is dealing with them. Sovereign.
Sovereign was the first Reaper encountered by the modern Citadel races. Military leaders initially assumed that Sovereign was a Geth or Prothean flagship commanded by Saren Arterius, a rogue spectre.
When was that a
The
thing?
truth was far more alarming. The massive ship was itself intelligent, and Saren proved to be under its control. The attacks by Sovereign against Eden Prime and the Citadel removed any uncertainty about the Reaper's technological superiority. Sovereign's formidable shielding and firepower allowed it to hold off the combined fleets of the Citadel, and its mass effect fields proved powerful enough to let the enormous vessel land on a planet's surface. Sovereign's mission, to open a mass relay that would transport the other Reapers from dark space, proved its undoing. During the Battle of the Citadel, Sovereign linked its consciousness to Saren's. When Saren's death corrupted the signal and shut down Sovereign's shields, Sovereign's destruction soon followed.
Oh my goodness, I love winning YouTube comment threads. I'm sorry, that sounded so, like, sassy and douchey. But, oh my god, I'm sorry, but, basically, I'll try and sum this up as quickly as possible, which I will fail to do, I guarantee you. I was in a YouTube comment thread, talking about how, I can't even remember what I was originally talking about. Hang on, Teeny Boy, do an edit while I think. Oh yeah. What it was is basically I was talking to somebody about how I was rationalizing the decision to concentrate on sovereign. It's the same one as just letting the council die, which is stupid, but we've been there. Let's go. Yeah, I was rationalizing the decision to concentrate on sovereign. They were basically saying, "Oh, there's no sane reason to do that. Of course, you would save the council. You'd only ever let the council die if you hated them, and oh, your hatred of the council clouded your judgment." It's like, brother, are you not paying attention to any detail in the game? I was like, right, okay, sovereign is an immensely powerful, like he's an immensely powerful being. We don't even know what it would take to kill him. The only chance that we have is to kill him as immediately. So just send everything we have at him right now. Just kill him quickly and as soon as possible. We don't know what kind of resources we will lose trying to save the council, and we have no idea what it would even take to defeat Sovereign. I said Sovereign was so powerful that if it wasn't for we only really. I made the point of saying that we only really won in at the end of Mass Effect 1 because Sovereign was stupid enough to try and fight try and fight Shepard, like during the battle. It's like, right, okay, but if he had just focused on the battle himself first, if he destroyed the fleet and then tried to fight Shepard, he would have won. And then the person came back to try and say, "Is like no, no, that didn't." He said, "No, that didn't. That's not how that works." Sovereign, if Sovereign had just focused on the fleet, he would have still died. He was going to lose that fleet. His only chance was to kill Shepard and open the relay and get saved by the other Reapers. I was like, no, that sounds stupid, because that ruins the effect of the scene. The idea that he was essentially desperate and that he was dying, he was going to lose, he was outmatched, and he was desperate trying to open the relay. When instead, the idea is that he's absolutely decimating the fleets around him. And then that Codex log literally just reaffirmed what my original assumption was. I'm sorry for sounding like such a douche right now, but it is. I'm what can I say? I'm happy to read that. It, it, I don't have any, I don't mean to sound like such a douche, but it's because when I make these like assumptions and these discussions and these debates about the game, like right, okay, this thing works for this reason, or it would have been better if they did this differently, or things like that. You know, it's just discussion around the story of Mass Effect and why certain things, like the details, the details that restrict the writings to following a certain path when the story that we have has got a couple of these little issues that make it a bit of a letdown, and you think, oh, how could the story have been different? Well, the story couldn't have been much different because mechanically it works this way, and then you think, well, no, it doesn't work that way. It works this way, and you have Codex logs like this that say, no, it does work this way. This is how mechanically the story could have been written different if you if you wanted something else to happen. I know that was very wordy and it probably made absolutely no sense. So we're going to move on as soon as possible. Anyway, don't worry about it. Good to know that that's how that works. So yeah, indoctrination.
Reaper indoctrination is an insidious means of corrupting organic minds, reprogramming the brain through physical and psychological conditioning using electromagnetic fields, infrasonic and ultrasonic noise, and other subliminal methods. The Reaper's resulting control over the limbic system leaves the victim highly susceptible to its suggestions. Organics undergoing indoctrination may complain of headaches and buzzing or ringing in their ears. As time passes, they have feelings of being watched and hallucinations of ghostly presences. Ultimately, the Reaper gains the ability to use the victim's body to amplify its signals, manifesting as alien voices in the mind. Indoctrination can create perfect deep cover agents. A Reaper's suggestions can manipulate victims into betraying friends, trusting enemies, or viewing the Reaper itself with superstitious awe. Should a Reaper subvert a well-placed political or military leader, the resulting chaos can bring down nations. Long-term physical effects of the manipulation are unsustainable. Higher mental functioning decays, ultimately leaving the victim a gibbering animal. Rapid indoctrination is possible, but causes this decay in days or weeks. Slow, patient indoctrination allows the thrall to last for months or years.
Well, like I mentioned in Mass Effect 2, that pretty much solves which one of those Saren was, and it also answers why he was so keen to test indoctrination on other people to see how we could combat it. He was, to some extent, of sound mind, but he was unfortunately too far gone to realize his to realize that he himself was indoctrinated. And then obviously Sovereign. And once he began to have suspicions, Sovereign Sovereign implanted him and made sure that his indoctrination was firm and that he was not going to exercise any more doubt or was not going to resist. Anyway, we've got Cannibal, whatever this is.
Cannibals are frontline Reaper units created from corrupted Batarians. The nickname refers to their propensity to devour the bodies of fallen comrades. This triggers a biochemical process through which the cannibals spontaneously heal themselves and grow new chitinous armor. The transformation also appears to give cannibals a greater awareness of their surroundings, leading to more strategic behavior and careful use of battlefield cover.
Yeah, I can see it now. Right, so the Batarians the Reapers have already begun to assimilate Batarians into their forces. So yeah, we can see the five, what the four eyes either side. Well, yeah, five eyes really. Either side there, the Batarians have already been assimilated into into the Reaper forces, and now they are being used as shock troops against the rest of the galaxy. Which means that we need to put a stop to that. I mean, the Reapers did essentially enter into... no. The Reapers did essentially enter through Batarian space at the galactic edge. So, feel bad for those guys.
Husks are the aggressive, mindless foot soldiers of the Reaper armies. They are created by impaling either living or dead humans on mechanical spikes that rapidly extract water and trace minerals and replace them with cybernetics. These cybernetics reanimate the lifeless flesh and tissue, transforming the bodies into horrifying killing machines. The Reapers use large groups of husks to overwhelm the enemy. The husks' inability to feel pain, as well as their tendency to attack in groups, makes them particularly deadly adversaries.
Well, they still tie to bullets. Just a couple of them. Just a couple more of them than a normal human. The Reapers are welcome to attempt to form their armies out of husks, but we shall kill those husks just like we shall kill the Reapers. Weapons, armor, and equipment. That is all of them, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. All right. Weapons, armor, and equipment.
Although melee combat applications for the Omni tool are almost as old as the device itself, the feature was largely unused prior to the Reaper invasion. The need to take on multiple husks in close quarters forced the Alliance to develop ways to enhance the tool's offensive capability. The most common melee design is the Omni Blade, a disposable silicon carbide weapon flash-forged by the tool's mini-fabricator. The transparent, nearly diamond-hard blade is created and suspended in a mass effect field safely away from the user's skin. Warning lights illuminate the field so the searing hot blade only burns what it is intended to: the opponent. More technically adept soldiers frequently modify their Omni tools to maximize stopping power through electrical, kinetic, or thermal energy. Some troops integrate the weapon with their kinetic barriers, transforming the Omni tool into a wrist-mounted bludgeon. Others fabricate flammable gases, held in place by a mass effect field and ignited upon impact. All prove deadly surprises for opponents who expect a disarmed Alliance warrior.
There you go. Sounds useful. We've only been getting that in this game, but oh well. That's all the primary ones done. We are an hour in, and we're gonna rush through these now. Come on. Aliens, extinct races, Rachni. Though now extinct, the Rachni once threatened every species in Citadel space. Over 2,000 years ago, explorers foolishly opened a mass relay to a previously unknown system and encountered something never seen before or since: a species of spacefaring insects guided by a hive-minded intelligence. Unfortunately, the Rachni were not peaceful, and the galaxy was plunged into a series of conflicts known as the Rachni Wars. Rachni, not Ragni. Attempts to negotiate were futile, as it was impossible to make contact with the hive queens that guided the race from beneath the surface of their toxic homeworld. The emergence of the Krogan ended the Rachni Wars. Bred to survive the harshest environments, the Krogan were able to strike at the queens in their lairs and reclaim conquered council worlds. But when Krogan fleets pressed them back to their homeworld, the Rachni refused to surrender, and the Krogan eradicated them from the galaxy. Well, we have been on our way to solving that problem, because we have communicated with a reborn Rachni queen who has voiced confusion at why on earth the Rachni would originally attack the rest of the galaxy, has concluded that the songs of the Rachni queens were soured, so to speak, by the Reapers. So the Reapers were essentially behind the Rachni Wars, and the Rachni have been for 2.5 years. Bearing in mind the Rachni can have a colony in a matter of days. For 2.5 years, the Rachni have been growing in seclusion and secrecy from the rest of the galaxy in order to prepare for the Reapers and help us out with those. So we are going to make sure that we get the Rachni on our side, because their time has come. The Reapers are here, Rachni, and oh my goodness, I will help you fight them if you will help me do the same. Aliens, non-council races. Collectors. Living beyond the Omega-4 mass relay in the Terminus systems, the mysterious collector species is glimpsed so rarely as to be taken for a myth by most in galactic society. Well, anyway, that's about all the time we've got for it now. In reality, collectors are human-sized insectoid bipeds and can resemble massive winged beetles. They are a terrifying force in the galaxy. Not anymore. Responsible for the murder of hundreds of thousands. Collectors generate permanent stasis fields around themselves, creating nightmarish red-shifted energy fields. In battle, they hold position whenever possible, relying on their aggressive biotics and nearly limitless power. Several types of bipedal collectors have been identified, including minions, defenders, zealots, assassins, and artillery operators. But the collectors have been destroyed, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. Acting together, collectors have imprisoned entire cities in stasis. While no definitive forensic accounting exists to explain the fate of those imprisoned, leading speculation is that victims are harvested for scientific experimentation and neurobiological repurposing. Well, we established in Mass Effect 2 what the collectors were doing with the abducted colonists and how they were doing it, and they will no longer be doing it anymore because we blew that base up against the elusive man's wishes, and there are no regrets on that front. Because if we are correct about the elusive man being indoctrinated by the Reapers, he will be. If we had left that base alive, if we had left that base, then the Reapers would have regained it, and they would be able to use it to reconstruct more Reapers. And now that that base has been destroyed, good luck doing that, Chief. Varen. Varen are omnivores with a preference for living prey. Originally native to the Krogan homeworld of Tuchanka, they are, like most life from Tuchanka, savage, clannish, and consummate survivors. They are pack hunters when vulnerable prey is readily available and become scavengers when outnumbered or outclassed. Their supreme adaptability, vicious demeanor, and rapid breeding cycle have made them ubiquitous and dangerous pests on many worlds. Virtually everywhere the Krogan have been, Varen infestations have followed, wreaking havoc with the native ecology. The Krogan have had a love-hate relationship with Varen for millennia, alternately fighting them for territory and embracing them as treasured companions. To this day, Krogan raise them as beasts of war. A common subgenus of Varen has metallic silver scales, leading to the rather unusual nickname fish dogs. Okay, so we've got Vorcha. Although they resemble a mammal reptile cross, the Vorcha have no terrestrial analogue. They are humanoid in form, but Vorcha have clusters of non-differentiated neoblast cells, like those of Earth's planarian worms. Damaged Vorcha cells mature into specialized structures to alleviate injury or stress. Transformations include thicker skin following injury, lung adaptation for barely breathable atmospheres, and stronger cardioskeletal muscle under high gravity. Skull capacity and brain size do not change, and Vorcha rarely make more than one somatic overhaul. I don't know what a somatic overhaul means. I just don't. Vorcha assault each other frequently, causing their young to gain strength, intelligence, and resilience. As a result, Vorcha see inflicting and receiving pain as normal communication. Few Vorcha study professions, in part because their average life expectancy is only 20 years. Because Vorcha can eat and breathe nearly anything, they can live almost anywhere, but racism prevents them from integrating into most societies that dismiss them as vermin. They have few employment options beyond Krogan mercenary bands. I mean, it depends how much. Okay, so strength, intelligence, and resilience. I mean, they essentially communicate through inflicting and receiving pain. It's not really something that can be integrated into societies that do not do that. If anybody has ideas on how that could happen, I'd be happy to hear them, but that just does not seem compatible. Anyway, Yarg. The Yarg are a race of massive apex predators from the world of Parnak, whose rise to sentience in no way blunted their violent nature. A group of Yarg is unable to cooperate until a single leader has been determined through either social maneuvering or brute force, but no grudges are held once a Yarg establishes dominance. Former rivals serve their new superior's purpose with unflinching loyalty and relentless determination, a legacy of their origin as pack species. Their 8 eyes are another sign of their hunter ancestry. All 4 pairs are geared towards tracking down and predicting the movements of prey. Sophisticated and keenly developed sensitivity to movement and light have made Yarg masters at reading body language, regardless of species. Much to their short-lived chagrin, the Council's first contact teams discovered it was nearly impossible to lie to the Yarg. The Yarg had technology equivalent to 20th century Earth standards when they were discovered by the Council in 2125. The Council's ambassadors approached the Yarg as friends and allies instead of subordinates, a baffling sign of contempt from newcomers on Parnak. The Yarg attacked when it became apparent that the alien diplomats stubbornly considered themselves sovereign people instead of new underlings. Parnak remains off-limits by order of the Council, which fears that the Yarg's size, aggression, and obsession with control make them poorly suited for integration into the galactic community. Most likely, I'm looking at a similar problem with the Krogan here. They have kind of got a bit of cultural development to go before we can bring them in. Humanity and the Systems Alliance. First Contact War. Humanity's first contact with an alien race occurred in 2157. At that time, the Alliance allowed survey fleets to activate any dormant mass relays discovered, a practice considered dangerous and irresponsible by Council-aligned races. When a Terrian patrol discovered a human fleet attempting to activate a relay, they attacked. One human vessel survived, retreating to the colony of Shanxi. The Turians followed, quickly defeating the local forces. Shanxi was occupied, the first and to date only human world to be conquered by an alien species. Depends if you count the Reapers as an alien species. I certainly do. The Turians believed the handful of ships they defeated represented the bulk of human defences, so they were unprepared when the Second Fleet under Admiral Castani Drescher launched a strong counter-offensive, evicting them from Shanxi. The Turians mobilized for full-scale war, drawing the attention of the rest of the galaxy. The Council quickly intervened, forcing a truce. Fortunately for humanity, the First Contact War was ended with a diplomatic solution. Very well, we've got the Mass Effect timeline. 2069, Armstrong Outpost at Shackleton Crater becomes the first human settlement on Luna. It is formally founded on July 24th, the 100th anniversary of the first lunar landing. We've got 2103. Lowell City in Eos Chasma becomes the first human settlement on Mars. 2137. Eldfell Ashland Energy Corporation demonstrates helium-3 fuel extraction from the atmosphere of Saturn. In 2142, construction of Gargarin Station, or Jump Zero, begins beyond the orbit of Pluto. 2148. Prospectors discover the Prothean ruins at Promethei Planum on Mars. 2149. Translation of Prothean data leads humans to the Charon Mass Relay. Systems Alliance founded to coordinate exploration and colonization of extrasolar worlds. 2151. A shipping accident at Singapore International Spaceport exposes downwind communities to containers of dust form element 0. Alliance begins construction of Arcturus Station. 2152. Roughly 30% of the children born in Singapore after element 0 exposure suffer from cancerous growths. Systems Alliance begins settlement of Earth's first extrasolar colony world, the planet Demeter. 2154. Commander Shepard is born. In 2155, Systems Alliance occupies completed portions of Arcturus Station as a headquarters. 2156, some children of Singapore exhibit minor telekinetic abilities. 2157, Turians encounter human explorers, First Contact War, occupation and liberation of the human colony of Shanxi. 2158, humans learn potential of biotics. An international effort to track element 0 exposures begins. Roughly 10% of exposed children show some level of biotic ability. 2160, Systems Alliance Parliament formed, which was 3 years after the First Contact War. Okay, we've got 2165, humans establish embassy on Citadel. Okay, alright, sure. I was gonna say, so that's what, 8 years after the First Contact War? I didn't realize it was that late. Okay, we've got 2170, Batarian slavers attack the Alliance colony on Mindwar. So 2170 and okay. Right, I didn't realize that Shepard was 16 when that happened. I thought he was like 8 or something. I thought he was like because I didn't realize that he enlisted with the Alliance like right after that invasion. I thought he was I thought like he was a kid when it happened, and then he grew up, and when he reached 16, he then joined the Alliance. Anyway, 6 years later, we've got 2176. During the Skillian Blitz, pirates and slaves attacked Elysium, the human capital in the Skillian Verge, and which was fought off by Commander Shepard. 2177. Thresher Moors devoured the Alliance colony of Akuz. Okay, yeah, so we met Corporal Toombs in Mass Effect 1 and sort of convinced him not to... So apparently, so yeah, those... the Alliance colony, yeah, so there were egregious scientists behind that attack, and Corporal Toombs, we had to convince him not to kill them, because Corporal Toombs was a victim of this attack, and we remember that. 2178, or as a survivor, I should say. 2178. In retaliation for the Skillian Blitz, an Alliance fleet wipes out an army of slavers on the moon of Torfan. 2183. Geth, led by rogue Spectre Seren Arterius, attacks the Citadel, ensuing in a battle that cost thousands of lives. A few weeks later, the SSV Normandy is ambushed and destroyed. Commander Shepard is presumed dead. Well, they presumed correctly at one point. So we've got 2185. An alien race known as the Collectors abducts thousands of human colonists in the Terminus systems. Commander Shepard leads a team beyond the Omega-4 relay to attack the Collectors where they live, stopping the abductions. 2186. Current date. Oh yes, right. Okay, so yeah. So the the collectors are gone. The abductions have stopped. Well, the Reapers have picked up the slack for that, and that slack is going to prove to be too goddamn much for them. Here we go. We've got Systems Alliance Special Operations. Interplanetary Combatives Training (ICT) is the Systems Alliance's premier school for leadership and combat expertise. The Interplanetary Combatives Academy, sometimes called N School or the Villa, recruits officers from every branch of the militaries to partake in grueling courses at Villa Militar in Rio de Janeiro. Okay? I've never heard this. Initially, candidates train for more than 20 hours per day, leading small combat teams through hostile terrain with little sleep or food. Trainees who do well are awarded an internal designation of N1 and are invited to return. Subsequent courses, N2 through N6, are often held off-planet and include instruction in zero-G combat, military freefall, parachuting, jetpack flight. We have jetpacks in this, when? Combat diving, combat instruction, linguistics, and frontline trauma care for human and alien biology. The highest grade of training, N6, provides actual combat experience in conflict zones throughout the galaxy. If the trainee survives these scenarios in admirable and effective fashion, he or she finally receives the coveted N7 designation. N7 is the only ICT designation that may be worn on field or dress uniforms. So I guess we know. So yeah, that's how much of a that's the level of skill and talent that Commander Shepard has, because Commander Shepard is the highest ranking. Commander Shepard has the highest rank of N7, and there aren't exactly many N7s, I don't believe. Oh god, I just remember a comment that someone made regarding the end of the game. It doesn't matter, don't worry about it. But oh my goodness, that was a ridiculous comment. The universal prestige of merely attending the academy. The universal prestige of merely attending the academy helps to restrain trainees from taking excessive risks in pursuit of higher honours. Although ICT qualification by itself does not guarantee higher rank, those officers who are able to complete the program are typically well suited to senior leadership positions. Okay, fair enough. Organizations, Cerberus Centurion. What is the point of having a tab for organizations, quote unquote, if the only ones are Cerberus? Hopefully we'll be getting some more. But anyway, we've got Cerberus Centurion. Centurions are Cerberus's frontline tacticians. They are meant to enact the elusive man's strategic goals, although it is clear that they have leeway to adapt as an encounter develops. The only useful intelligence that the Alliance has gathered on Centurions relates to their armament. Each Centurion carries an M-96 Mattock heavy rifle modified to launch smoke grenades, leaving enemies vulnerable to crossfire. Right, well, I hope they find me to be an enemy as often as possible, because we know that Commander Shepard and his crew can deal with them more effectively than a lot of other Alliance soldiers, and so we are much less likely to die. Casualties will be significantly lower. Cerberus Guardian. Guardians, the Cerberus equivalent of human tanks, are slow-moving soldiers who carry enormous polycrystalline composite shields. The weight of the shield requires an armored suit equipped with hydraulic assists and a dedicated power supply. Combining this exceptional protection with a suite of enviromapping systems, Guardians focus on flanking opponents to flush them from cover. A Guardian's slow but relentless approach is intended to demoralize enemies as well as draw their fire, but rip away their shield and Guardians become little more than cannon fodder. Very well. As far as we are concerned, they are less than cannon fodder. Cerberus Trooper. Assault troopers are the backbone of Cerberus forces. Those candidates who make it through the grueling basic training are submitted to an intensive psychological program that renders them fearless, disciplined, and unrelenting. Outfitted with custom-designed armor and rifles, these soldiers function with determined precision and practiced teamwork. The first to rush into a fight, assault troopers often work in tandem with more powerful units. They make strategic use of this scenario, keeping their opponents occupied until it is too late to react to the combined Cerberus force bearing down on them. Well, it is never too late to react, as we have proven before and shall prove again. We've got planets and locations, which should be a few things here. We've got Aya. Humans detected Aya as an Earth-type world via telemetry in 2165. After probe surveys indicated life, lush vegetation, ample fresh water, and breathable air, the Alliance upgraded the planet to a garden world colonization priority. Commanded by Captain Ronald Taylor, the crew of Alliance survey vessel Hugo Gernsback made planetfall on the jungle world in 2173. Soon after, ship transmissions inexplicably stopped. While the precise fate of the Hugo Gernsback command and crew is unknown, they are presumed killed in action and their vessel destroyed. Well, after Mass Effect 2, we know what happened with that. We've got Feros. Pharos is a habitable world in the Attican Beta cluster. 2/3 of the habitable surface is covered with the ruins of a crumbling Prothean megatropolis. In the millennia since the Prothean extinction, the ruins have been picked over by looters many times. Pharos was considered a poor prospect for colonization, as little open ground remains for agriculture. The only sizable freshwater sources are the poles, which are tapped by the decaying Prothean aqueduct systems. The dead cities, while in good condition considering their antiquity, are of uncertain stability. Ground level is congested by a dozen meters of fallen debris, and the air is fouled by dust. In 2178, the Human Exogeny Corporation announced its intention to place a permanent colony on Pharos to thoroughly explore the ruins. The pioneer settlement was placed on the upper levels of several intact skyscrapers, using the surviving Prothean aqueducts and rooftop hydroponic gardens to support the population. And we have fought off the Geth attack on Pharos, and the colony of Zoo's Hope appears to be thriving. I'm not entirely sure how much it'll be thriving, like whether or not the Reapers know about it. I don't think that they will know about all of the colonies. So the Reaper invasion is at a sort of standstill for the moment. In fact... No, hang on. How do the Reapers know where Earth is? I think I've encountered a tad bit of a plot hole here. Because it was established in the first game, and it'll probably be here. Oh no, it was established from Vigil in the first game that the Reapers obtain the knowledge of how many different planets that all the species have and where they all are and things like that. They establish that the Reapers obtain that knowledge when they capture the Citadel. The Reapers, because originally, that's what the Keepers were for. The Keepers activate the Citadel mass relay that summons the Reapers from dark space. The Reapers then quickly capture the Citadel, and then they use the databases that the species in the galaxy have been using for thousands of years. They use those databases to find all of the planets that are all occupied and colonized planets. That was why Ilos was spared from the Reapers, and that's why the Protheans for a time survived there, because there were almost no records of it anywhere. So the Reapers just simply did not know about it. But the Reapers don't have the Citadel yet, clearly, because we're on it. So how do they know where Earth is? How do they know where any of the planets are? They would go like straight to the Citadel if they could. It's weird actually that they're not here straight away. Like they should be here straight away. Like they should have taken this before they did anything. Like I get that Harbinger probably wanted to take Earth immediately as his like first target almost, because he wanted to, I suppose, make a point, like just against Shepard. He's like, right, you've fucked us up several times now. I'm going to target Earth first, just to make a point. Like, look, this is how insignificant you are to us. This is how supremely powerful we are. Against every victory that you have achieved, this is what you have earned. Is the complete destruction of Earth. Is that right? Okay. First off, I do not take your point, good sir. Second, why on Earth... how do you even know where Earth is, or any of the other planets? You kind of need the Citadel for that. Stick to the damn rules that you create. The Pioneer said, well, we've already read that anyway. Freedom's Progress. Freedom's Progress colony was once a typical Alliance settlement, but following complete communications blackout and its apparent destruction, is now a lightning rod for anxiety and dread in the galactic human community. The communications blackout followed an upgrade of the colony's small military force, supplemented by mechs and security drones, with high-powered, tower-mounted Guardian lasers. Colonists complained about construction cost overruns, delays, noise, and damage to the local environment. They also feared the defense array could be seen as provocative to their world's neighbors. Such fears may not have been baseless. Authorities have still offered no explanation for the communications blackout, fueling rumors of plagues, natural disasters, or a cult-inspired mass suicide. Well, we know that's not the case. Located in strategically insignificant space, Freedom's Progress colony had once offered residents spectacular rainbows, lush marshlands, and stunning mountain ranges. Its potential as an agricultural settlement and tourism wonderland rivaled that of any Alliance colony, and eventually it will, again, because once we beat the Reapers, they can settle that world again and we'll all be for the better. Because there will be an age after the Collectors, when once the Reapers are gone, people will be able to thrive on these planets without fear of the Collectors stealing people in the night and turning them into synthetic constructs that wipe out civilization every 50,000 years. There will be a time, whether or not we live to see it, when the galaxy will be able to colonize in peace, without fear of the Reapers. The cycle that has plagued this galaxy for over 1 billion years, potentially, will eventually be at an end. Haestrom. Before the Geth Revolt 300 years ago, the Quarians colonized Haestrom to study the mysterious instability of its sun, which threatened premature eruption into a red giant. As a scientific outpost of minimal military value, Haestrom was ill-equipped to repel Geth forces during the insurrection and fell quickly under their control. Captured Geth planetary survey data indicates that despite sustaining damage, Haestrom's architecture remains as it was before the war, preserving a Quarian architectural style that no longer exists anywhere else in the galaxy. Because Haestrom's sun has overwhelmed the planet's protective magnetosphere, humans foolhardy enough to venture into Geth-controlled Haestrom must exercise extreme caution. Minutes of radiation exposure will overload shields, and hours of exposure will kill. Furthermore, solar output renders surface-to-orbit communications nearly impossible. Okay, but we're not done. We've got Ilium. A regional hub of Asari commerce, awash in riches, Ilium is infamous for its abuse of labor practices and legalization of nearly everything except murder. As such, Ilium is the preferred production site for weapons and pharmaceuticals that would be illegal nearly everywhere else, made even more lucrative by legal indentured servitude, slavery. Among the biotics-related pharmaceutical producers is the Dantias Corporation, a rising star in galactic commerce. Not anymore. Despite the dangers of its products, Ilium is renowned for glamour, luxury, and safety provided by near-total surveillance, making it a favoured tourist destination. Countless celebrities maintain palatial estates on Ilium and in its capital, Nosastra. The sole obstacle to business on Ilium is its extensive bureaucracy, tolerated only for its provision of security. Regardless of the character of its economy, Ilium's self-congratulatory media exalts its own society with the provincial arrogance of new money, glorifying its sexiest CEOs and 10 richest residents lists. Well, I don't think that's too different from the bloody culture that we have on this planet. So, God damn it, it's easily done, I suppose. Ilos. Right, there we go. Let's get down there. There we go. Ilos. Like the ancient human city of Troy, Ilos is a world known only through second-hand sources. References to Ilos have been found at several other Prothean ruins, though direct study of the world is unlikely to occur. Okay, so there's the problem. You've done it there by saying that references to Ilos have been found at several other Prothean ruins. You have now begged the question: how the bloody hell did the Reapers not find it? All right, anyway, because what Vigil said is that the only references to Ilos were on the Citadel, and there were very few of them. The few references that there were destroyed in the initial attack. So before the Reapers even assimilated the databases and downloaded all the data and analyzed it, that initial attack, when the Reapers came through and decimated the fleets and began purging the life on the Citadel, that initial attack destroyed any references to Ilos, luckily. It's a bit of a contrivance, but I believe it. But now you've said, wait, so there are several references across the different Prothean ruins. So, okay, how do you not find it then? The chance, I believe it happening once. The chance of it happening several times, no, sorry mate, don't believe it. Anyway, Ilos lies in a remote area of the Terminus systems, only accessible by the legendary Mu Relay. 4,000 years ago, the Mu Relay was knocked out of position by a supernova and lost. Since then, Ilos and its cluster have been inaccessible. Actually, there's a shout. The Mu Relay would have been activated. Well, actually, no, then again. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, no, never mind. I'm an idiot. Because it was knocked out of a 4,000 years ago. Wait, no. Okay, because because it wasn't... The Mu Relay wasn't knocked out of position in the last cycle. Okay. So I'm thinking, wait, so surely the... What I was going to say is that, right, okay, actually, there's no guarantee that the Mu Relay was dormant. It could have been... well, no, because none of the relays are active, are they? None of the relays are active until somebody activates them. So the fact that they found the Mu Relay and they realised it was active, the Reapers would have figured, oh, someone's through there. The Protheans have been in this area, let's go check it out. So yeah, actually, no, there's no... Yeah, no, I'm sorry, no, that doesn't work. The Reapers would have found Ilos, you know what I mean? Anyway, occasionally a university will organise an expedition to chart a route to Ilos using conventional FTL drive. These never get beyond the planning stages due to the distance and danger. The journey could take years or decades, passing through the hostile terminus systems and dozens of unexplored systems. Well, we no longer need that because we have access to Ilos through the new relay after the events of Mass Effect 1. We have Corlus. Known as the Starcraft Cemetery, Corlus was the regional toxic junkyard for centuries. Ships reaching astronautical near-death at connecting mass relays were sent to Corlus, stripped of every useful component, then dumped planetward to clear shipping lanes. Currently, Corlus hosts numerous merc factions such as the Blue Suns, rumored to be using down-ship fossils to test advanced munitions. Massive gun batteries threaten anyone attempting planetfall, with minimal defenses against ground attack. Because ancient volcanism greenhoused the planet, Corlus was too hot and CO2 rich to develop a biosphere, despite the abundant lakes that could have sponsored the development of life. Now cool enough for protected habitation, but too scorching for anyone but extremophiles and mercenaries seeking secrecy, Corlus supports numerous Krogan outposts. The Krogan have therefore seeded Corlus with hardy Varren, often kept as warhounds. Varren live primarily on a diet of geophagous vermin and each other. Okie so we've got Noveria. Noveria is a cool, rocky world with most of its hydrosphere locked up in massive glaciers. A privately chartered colony world, the planet is owned by the Noveria Development Corporation holding company. The NDC is funded by investment capital from 24 high-technology development firms and administrated by an executive board representing their interests. The investors built remote hot labs in isolated locations across Noveria's surface. These facilities are used for research too dangerous or controversial to be performed elsewhere, as Noveria is technically not part of Citadel space and therefore exempt from council law. By special arrangement, Citadel special tactics and reconnaissance agents have been granted extraterritorial privileges, but it remains to be seen how committed the executive board is to that principle. Given its unique situation, it is understandable that Noveria is often implicated in all manner of wild conspiracy theories. Yeah, so although I would be interested in learning what conspiracy theories, let's have a look. So we've got Omega. Originally an asteroid rich in element 0, Omega was briefly mined by the Protheans, who eventually abandoned it due to its thick, impenetrable crust. Thousands of years later, nature did what even the Protheans could not. A collision with another asteroid broke Omega in half, exposing its trove of element 0 for easy mining. A rush ensued as corporations and private individuals tried to strike it rich on Omega, and thieves and outlaws followed in their wake. As space became tight, construction of processing facilities extended vertically from the asteroid, creating Omega's jellyfish-like silhouette. To prevent future collisions, the station is ringed with enormous Mass Effect field generators that redirect incoming debris. Today, Omega is a major hub of narcotics, weapons, and ezo-trafficking without even a pretense of civilian government or military control. Only mercenary groups have been able to instill a limited order. The most ruthless is an Asari syndicate run by the notorious Arya T'Loak, which I'm pretty sure we will be encountering her again. I think there is something called the Omega DLC in this, which we're on the Legendary Edition, so we've got all the DLC. Sick, let's go. Pragia. Choked by the hypergrowth of non-native plant species, Pragia serves as a galactic reminder about the imperative for careful regulation during colonization. 2 centuries ago, Batarian agribusiness chose uninhabited Pragia as their empire's breadbasket. Colonization authorities introduced non-native, industrially mutated plants that flourished in the world's fertile volcanic soil. Synergizing with Pragia's natural geothermal conditions and chemotropic microbes, the imported species soon became a nightmare. Mutant strains of poisonous and even carnivorous plants arose, overgrowing colonies in days instead of years, and causing the Batarians to abandon their holdings. Because the planet's small animal population is insufficient to check its plant growth, Alliance ecologists predict soil exhaustion in 400 years. Wow, okay, dope. That's a short amount. I know that sounds like a long time, but considering the fact that we're talking about a planet, like just picture how big a planet is, 400 years is a short amount of time. Due to its relative isolation and lack of population, Pragia has become a regional haven for drug runners, weapon smugglers, pirates, mercenaries, terrorists, and intelligence agents seeking secrecy. And we know that that's true because Cerberus was there. And we've got a squad mate on our hands who suffered at the hands of Cerberus. We've got Rakana. I wonder what Jack's doing at this point. Rakana. The Drell homeworld of Rakana once teemed with life. Its arid plains home to spectacular insect and reptile analogues. But the Drell took to industrialization early and did not realize the extent of the environmental damage they caused until it was too late. With their topsoil depleted and oceans too acidic to sustain life, the Drell was situated for a massive population crash by 2025 CE. It was then the Hanar stepped in, mounting a large-scale rescue operation to bring Drell to the Hanar homeworld Kage. As wars erupted over what resources remained on Rakana and billions began to die, approximately 375,000 Drell escaped in the Exodus. To repay their debt, the Drell entered into an agreement with the Hanar, called the Compact. It states that the Drell would assist the Hanar with tasks the Hanar cannot physically perform. Today, high-ranking Hanar are often inseparable from their Drell attendants. Right, well, it's a good thing that the Drell are no longer extinct, and they've become very competent and compatible, unexpectedly compatible with the Hanar. Almost a symbiotic relationship there, considering the fact that the Drell cannot live on Kage without so much aid. We've got the Terminus systems. The Terminus systems are located on the far side of the Attican Traverse, beyond the space administered by the Citadel Council or claimed by the Human Systems Alliance. It is populated by a loose affiliation of minor species, united only in their refusal to acknowledge the political authority of the Council or adhere to the Citadel Conventions. Their independence comes at a price. The Terminus is fraught with conflict. War among the various species is common, as governments and dictators constantly rise and fall. The region is a haven for illegal activities, particularly piracy and the slave trade. At least once a year, a fleet from Terminus invades the nearby Attican Traverse. These attacks are typically small raids against poorly defended colonies. The Council rarely retaliates, as sending patrols into the Terminus systems could unify the disparate species against their common foe, triggering a long and costly war. Well, that's going to turn out for the better, because as long as the Terminus, we still have our fleets for the most part intact and undisturbed from that potential war, but now we also still have the Terminus systems to help us against the Reapers. And the Reapers aren't going to be helping them, so they are for sure going to be helping us. The Migrant Fleet. The Flotilla, or the Migrant Fleet, is a fleet of roughly 50,000 starships that houses over 17 million Quarians, the largest collection of starfaring vessels in the galaxy. The fleet is so large it may take days for all the ships to pass through a mass relay. Well, I can't wait for that to be thrown out the window. The ships are constantly repaired, replaced, and upgraded to comfortably house as many Quarians as possible. Typically, ships specialize in roles for the fleet, from the enormous agricultural live ships to the shielded lab ships to the repurposed freighters known as home ships that house Quarian children, young parents, and educators. Employed Quarians typically live in the ship they work on, since commuting from ship to ship ties up resources with unnecessary docking procedures. Even within the flotilla, Quarians on most ships will remain encased in their protective suits. Rarely, Quarians will meet on clean ships, for specific purposes such as medical services or reproduction. When this occurs, they remove their suits, knowing full well that it is likely they will spend a few days having allergic reactions or getting over infections as their weakened immune systems compensate for each other's presence. Yeah, well, you know what? Eventually, in a century, the Quarians will be able to live outside their suits. The migrant fleet will one day not be necessary. That is a reality that we will indeed fight for. We've got the Perseus Veil. How many more have we got here? Right, we've got the Perseus Veil. As vast in natural beauty as it is in threat, the purple and golden nebula called the Perseus Veil forms the natural border between Geth space and the Terminus systems. The Veil's total opacity prevents Council intelligence from surveying Geth activity. Theoretically, the Geth could be preparing a devastating attack against which the Council could be defenseless, or the Geth could have died out, so that the defense budget against them could be gaining the Alliance nothing but economic ruination. Despite fears of Geth, prospectors do occasionally mount salvage ventures inside the Veil. One ended in tragedy. Using techno-mental domination, the Geth drew the team into the Veil before aiming them back as husks at the organic society that produced them. And that would have been recent, considering the fact that the Geth the Geth would have had that technology. Oh, actually, no. No, what am I talking about? Of course, they had that technology after Eden Prime, because we did that mission after Eden Prime. I'm an idiot. Ignore me. A leaked classified Spectre report claims that the Dreadnought Sovereign, commanded by ex-Spectre Saren Arterius, it was not, and crewed by Geth, it was not. It contained Geth and transported Geth, but the Reapers require no crew. Hid near the Veil before initiating the 2183 Citadel attack. Ah, yes. It's Very good to hear that, isn't it? Hid near the veil. Ah, yes. It's good to read that, that's all. The Vermeer. Vermeer is a lush world located on the frontier of the Attican Traverse. Its vast seas and orbital position on the inner life zone have created a wide equatorial band of humid tropical terrain. Only the political instability of the region has impeded efforts at colonization. Many times, the Citadel has opened negotiations to settle Vermeer with the various criminal gangs and petty dictatorships in the nearby terminus systems. All fell apart due to internal power shifts within the opposing parties. The Citadel has written off the colonization of Vermeer as impossible without significant political change. The Terminus powers themselves are unlikely to ever settle Vermeer. Most lack the resources to support settlement of a virgin world, finding it more expedient to steal from their neighbours than build from themselves. Well, we know what Tolkien says, don't we? Evil cannot create, it can only corrupt. Even though that's got nothing to do with what. Just, never mind. I'm sure you guys can see the connection I was trying to go for there, but it wasn't really compatible, was it? Anyway, ships and vehicles. FTL drive. Faster than light drives use element 0 cores. Wow, we're not even at 2. I thought I'd passed 2 hours. I'm not even at 2 hours yet. Faster than light drives use element 0 cores to reduce the mass of the ship. Oh my god, we're not far off being done here. This effectively raises the... Well, faster than light drives use element 0 cores to reduce the mass of the ship, allowing higher rates of acceleration. This effectively raises the speed of light within the Mass Effect field, allowing high-speed travel with negligible relativistic time dilation effects. Starships still require conventional thrusters, chemical rockets, commercial fusion torch, economy ion engine, or military anti-proton drive, in addition to the FTL drive core. With only a core, a ship has no motive power. The amount of ESO and power required for a drive increases exponentially to the mass being moved and the degree it is being lightened. Very massive ships or very high speeds are prohibitively expensive. If the field collapses while the shield is moving at faster than light speed, the effects are catastrophic. The ship is snapped back to sublight velocity, the enormous excess energy shed in the form of lethal Cherenkov radiation. Let's have a look. So, I wonder if that would apply to Reapers. Like, if you could somehow disable the Mass Effect field, while they're like mid FTL flight, would it just destroy them? Alright, anyway. Let's have a look. So we've got military ship classifications. Larger warships are generally classified in one of 4 weights. Frigates are small, fast ships used for scouting and screening larger vessels. Frigates often operate in Wolfpack flotillas. Cruisers are middleweight Cruisers are middleweight combatants, faster than dreadnoughts and more heavily armed than frigates. Cruisers are the standard patrol unit and often lead frigate flotillas. Dreadnoughts are kilometer-long capital ships mounting heavy, long-range firepower. They are only deployed for the most vital missions, so we can guarantee that we're going to have some of those when we retake Earth. We have dozens of them anyway across the. We probably have a few fewer now after the conquering of Earth from the Reapers, but the Turians have the most, the Asari the second most, Solarians the second most after that, and then humans the most after that. I believe we have 7, maybe 8. Probably. I have no idea how many were destroyed in the Battle above Earth, but let's say that we have about 5. The Turians have supposedly 4 times as many, I think, assuming the Citadel conventions were followed. I have no idea how those were altered with Udina. We've got carriers. I don't know if the game is even going to give us a specific number on that, but we have, not us specifically, but the galaxy at large has dozens of dreadnoughts, so that's gonna help us out quite a bit when it comes to retaking Earth. I am sure. Carriers are dreadnought-sized vessels that also carry large numbers of fighters. Smaller vessels are almost exclusively used in a support role to the warships during combat. Fighters are one-man craft used to perform close-range attacks on enemy ships. Well, those will come in handy against the Oculus, because oh my goodness, the Normandy cannot be picking up the slack fighting those guys, although it is effective at doing so. Interceptors are one-man craft optimized for destroying opposing fighters. Oh yes, better than the Normandy, but the Normandy has its place, let's be honest. Joker, you did a thing in the suicide mission, GG mate. The Normandy SR-1. The SSV Normandy SR-1 Now you're just having a laugh. Was a prototype starship developed by the Human Systems Alliance with assistance from the Citadel Council. The ship employed state-of-the-art stealth technology for reconnaissance in dangerous regions. Most ships emit heat that is easy to detect against the absolute zero background of space. The Normandy, however, could temporarily store its waste heat deep within the hull, allowing the ship to travel undetected for hours or drift passively for days of covert observation. This was not without risk. Eventually, the stored heat had to be released, or it would build to levels that could cook the crew alive. Another key component of the Normandy stealth system was a revolutionary Tantalus drive, a mass effect core twice the size of a standard unit. The Tantalus drive generated mass concentrations that the Normandy fell into, allowing it to move without the use of heat-emitting thrusters. Brilliant. So that's wait. So hang on. Wait, no. Okay, so that said heat-emitting thrusters, not thrusters. Okay, right. So we don't, unless it's suggesting that thrusters emit heat and that we don't need thrusters that emit heat now. I don't know. Anyway. The Normandy SR-1 was destroyed in 2183 when it was ambushed by a collector ship in the Omega Nebula. Yeah, well, we dealt with that one, didn't we? Oh, yes. Space combat. Shells lofted by surface navies crash back to Earth when their acceleration is overwhelmed by gravity and air resistance. In space, a projectile has unlimited range. It will keep moving until it hits something. Practical gunnery range is determined by the velocity of the attacker's ordnance and the maneuverability of the target. Beyond a certain range, a small ship's ability to dodge trumps a larger attacker's projectile speed. The longest range combat occurs between dreadnoughts, whose projectiles have the highest velocity but are the least maneuverable. The shortest range combat is between frigates, which have the slowest projectile velocities and highest maneuverability. Well, the Reapers are to a large extent dreadnought size. Sovereign was, Harbinger is, and much of the Reaper fleet is dreadnought size. So as much as their technology trumps ours by a significant degree, we cannot rely on the dreadnoughts themselves to take out the Reapers. We will require a fleet of dreadnoughts, but we will also require frigates and cruisers with maneuverability to help wear those guys down. We cannot be doing what we did in the Alliance. Well, in the Alliance, we cannot be doing what we did in the Battle of the Citadel and basically sitting still, sniping the damn thing. Here we go. Opposing dreadnoughts open with a main gun artillery duel at extreme ranges of tens of thousands of kilometers. The fleets close, maintaining evasive lateral motion while keeping their bow guns facing the enemy. Fighters are launched and attempt to close to disrupt the torpedo range. Cautious admirals weaken the enemy with ranged fire and fighter strikes before committing to close action. Aggressive commanders advance so cruisers and frigates can engage. At long range, the main guns of cruisers become useful. Friendly interceptors engage enemy fighters until the attackers enter the range of ship-based Guardian fire. Dreadnoughts fire from the rear, screened by smaller ships. Commanders must decide whether to commit to a general melee or retreat into FDL. At medium range, ships can use broadside guns. Fleets intermingle, and it becomes difficult to retreat in order. Ships with damaged kinetic barriers are vulnerable to Wolfpack frigate flotillas that speed through the battle space. Only fighters and frigates enter close knife fight ranges of 10 or fewer kilometers. Fighters loose their disrupted torpedoes, bringing down a ship's kinetic barriers and allowing it to be swarmed by frigates. Guardian lasers become viable weapons, swatting down fighters and boiling away warship armor. Okie doke, so I wonder how effective that strategy will be against Reapers. I'm not entirely sure it would be, but we'd have to see. Neither dreadnoughts nor cruisers can use their main guns at close range. Laying the bow on a moving target becomes impossible. Superheated thruster exhaust becomes a hazard. Yeah, okie doke, so dreadnoughts aren't very useful at close range because they can hardly aim. We've got space, we've got technology, right, so we've not got many things here to do either. Artifacts. Can we do this before? No, we probably cannot do this before 2 hours, but we will try. Artifacts. The Citadel Council has called for the immediate donation of Prothean artifacts to bolster the war effort, primarily items of Reaper origin and recordings of their attacks. The Exogeny Corporation set an example by donating a store of newly discovered paleotechnology and releasing the data archives of deep space research colonies destroyed by the Reapers. Several private collectors have since stepped forward to donate the entirety of their collections. Right, so, good old Reaper fleet, you have indeed inspired cooperation amongst the races. You have provoked action from them that even I could not. But I will most certainly requisition that action. So yes, the galaxy has started. The council have recognized the threat of the Reapers and are now beginning to, and are now making a strong effort to understand the Reapers and gain some semblance of defense against them. And private collectors and the Exogenic operation are now making an effort to donate their collections. Donate their collections of Prothean relics and Reaper items to form defenses against the Reapers. But despite an offer of amnesty for anyone concealing such artifacts, not everyone has responded as the Council hoped. Several artifacts have been found in obscure underground markets on safe haven worlds, presumably sold by newly arrived refugees who needed funds to survive. Reports say that smugglers continue to sell stolen artifacts, and armed raids on archaeological sites have rendered even legal operations extremely hazardous. After several reports of mercenary groups turning on the archaeologists who hired them, LNS Risk Control Services began to offer security details for archaeological sites at considerably reduced rates. So yes, security forces are now trying to offer LNS Risk Control. You know, I'm not even sure what's going on there. Actually, never mind. But yes, we are most certainly after that Reaper technology. And we need to figure out what's. I hope the ARA can give us some more information on what that Protean weapon is. Computers, artificial intelligence, AI. An artificial intelligence is a self-aware computing system capable of learning and independent decision-making. Creation of a conscious AI requires adaptive code, a slow, expensive education, and a specialized quantum computer called a blue box. An AI cannot be transmitted across a communication channel or computer network. Without its blue box, an AI is no more than data files. Loading these files into a new blue box will create a new personality, as variations in the quantum hardware and runtime results create unpredictable variations. The Geth serve as a cautionary tale against the dangers of rogue AI, and in Citadel space, they are technically illegal. Advocacy groups argue, however, that an AI is a living, conscious entity deserving the same rights as organics. They argue that continued use of the term artificial is institutionalized racism on the part of organic life. The term synthetic is considered the politically correct alternative. Those mean the same thing. One should not be offensive, and the other one should not. And the other one should. Computers Virtual Intelligence (VI). A virtual intelligence is an advanced form of user interface software. VIs use a variety of methods to simulate natural conversation, including an audio interface and an avatar personality to interact with. Although a VI can provide a convincing emulation of sentience, they are not self-aware, nor can they learn or take independent action. VIs are used as operating systems on commercial and home computers. Minimal VI agents are also available. Agents are compact and specialized. Some serve as personal secretaries, filtering calls and scheduling meetings based on user-defined priorities. Others are advanced search engines, propagating themselves across the extranet to collate user-requested data. Commercial VIs and a variety of stock personalities are available at any software retailer. Boutique firms and hobbyists also build unique VIs to personal specification. Although software emulation of living personalities is illegal, reconstructions of famous historical figures are common, and apparently there is one of us as well that deletes data on our way to real threats. Deletes data like you on our way to real threats or something like that. Anyway, I'm sure Commander Bailey has one. The Reaper War, the Fall of Earth, Karshan. Let's figure out what that is in a minute. The Reapers took Earth in a matter of hours. The Alliance knew the first wave would arrive from Batarian space, but they were unprepared for the speed and scale of the attack. The Reapers bypassed the 6th and 7th fleets at Terra Nova and Eden Prime, flying straight from relay to relay, where they could neither be tracked nor intercepted. The tactic was unexpected, since the navies of organic species would never risk coming out of FTL within combat range, or leaving enemies at their backs who threatened supply lines. At Arcturus Station, more than a dozen Reaper capital ships engaged the Alliance's 2nd, 3rd, and 5th fleets. This was mere screening for the main force. Dozens more capital ships continued through the Cauron relay, where the 1st fleet had been lying in wait but was soon destroyed. The 4th fleet, near Earth, had a few minutes of advance warning. It stood no better chance. So that's 1st, 4th, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th. So that's the first 5 fleets have been completely The first 5 fleets, so 5 Alliance fleets have been completely decimated by the Reapers during this attack. God damn it. After destroying Earth's convoys, smaller Reaper destroyers wiped out all GPS and communications satellites in Earth's orbit and cut the undersea fiber optic cables that linked the continents. Earth's resistance now relies on outdated radio towers and a few quantum entanglement communicators whose matched pairs happen to be on other continents or outside the Sol system. Communication is so limited that the fate of entire nations remains unknown. So not only are we cut off from the rest of the galaxy, but Anderson is now individual continents and nations are now separated from each other, communications-wise. The Reapers, this is their MO. It is essentially cut off communication in their entirety. That is why the Citadel must be protected, and that is the fate that we have spared the galaxy by defeating Sovereign. The capital ships... Wait. Okay, yeah, that is... We had the right paragraph there. The capital ships bombarded defense installations and industrial centers, annihilating entire cities with populations in the low millions, including Adelaide, Hamburg, Algebail, and Fort Worth. Meanwhile, Reaper destroyers descended into the atmosphere to melt roads and capture population centers with minimal loss of life. This is not an example of the Reapers being merciful. More likely, they are hurting their prey to make the coming harvest that much easier. So they would prefer not to kill us, they would prefer to harvest us, much like they intended to do with the humans, with the collectors. So, they intend to use. They don't intend to destroy us specifically. They intend to use us as shock troopers for the husks. So we need to make sure that that does not happen, because we will battle those armies, we will destroy those armies, and we will explode the Reaper fleets in a stylish fashion as we did with Sovereign, the Collector ship, and the Collector base. I do not plan on, killing the guys inside of you. I do not plan on hacking you. I plan on completely and utterly destroying you. The fall of Karshan. For every 1,000 Batarian refugees, there are 1,001 stories about how the Reapers invaded the Batarian stories. A few elements are common to almost every version, however. The Reapers arrived first in the Vulkar system, not Vular. Unless I actually did read it wrong several times on the galaxy map, but I'm pretty sure I didn't. The Reapers arrived first in the Vulkar system and immediately destroyed its communications network. No. No, they didn't have a communications network. We detonated a mass relay, but, you know. Oh, wait. Wait, no, it's not. Oh, I'm being an idiot. No, it's not Vulkar. Vulkar, I made that up. That's completely invented in here. Vulkar is not a thing. I'm thinking of the Viper relay. Anyway, let me not be an idiot. The Reapers arrived first in the Vular system and immediately destroyed its communications network. The Hegemony's Department of Information Control blamed the loss of signal on space weather, but scrambled ships to the system nonetheless. Within a day, Reaper capital ships appeared in the Harsar system and descended on the Batarian homeworld, Karshan. So the Batarians were the first to fall, but now the Reapers have quickly sped to Earth. Maybe actually that's how they knew the location of Earth, because the Batarians at one point were on the Citadel. And so it would just be natural that they would know the location of Earth and probably have it stored in their databases. So there you go. It does actually make sense. For all the rhetoric about the Hegemony's military prowess, their response to the Reapers was uncoordinated. Moments after the information minister took to the extranet and announced that unknown ships were destroying all space traffic near Karshan, the defense minister declared that there was no reason to panic. Stop that. Alright? We cannot have uncoordination. That is how the Reapers win. Specifically, that is their entire plan, that is their entire methodology. The planet's convoys were destroyed next, creating an ominous silence that has persisted ever since. Fearing they were next, Batarian colonies across Hegemony space began evacuations. So many refugees poured into the human-occupied Exodus cluster that Systems Alliance officials at first thought the Batarians were invading. No, we will do what we can for them because we are going to need their help, and it is not fair on them, despite everything they have done to us. It is not fair on them to be victims of the Reapers. More systems have gone dark as their convoys were destroyed, and millions more Batarians trapped on their planets sit waiting for the Reapers. Well, they can wait some more, and then we will go back and retake those planets for them with them. Weapons, armor, and equipment. Body armor. Right, okay, so we've got a few things here. Oh, no, that's it. Oh, my goodness. That's it. Look at it go. Body armor. Modern combat hardsuits have a triple canopy of protection. Shields, armor, and self-repair. The outermost layer is created through kinetic barrier emitters, which detect objects coming at a high rate of speed and generate shields, provided they have enough energy in their power cells. Excuse me. Sorry about that. If a bullet or other incoming object gets past the barrier, it contends with the more traditional body armor. A sealed suit of non-porous ballistic cloth provides kinetic and environmental protection. reinforced by lightweight composite ceramic plates in areas that either don't need to flex or require additional coverage, such as the chest and head. When the armor is hit by directed energy weapons, the plates boil away or ablate, rather than burning the wearer. The last level of protection is provided by the suit's microframe computers, whose input detectors are woven throughout the fabric. These manage the self-healing system, which finds rents in the fabric and, assuming any such tear would wound the flesh underneath, seals the area off with sterile, non-conductive medigel. This stanches minor wounds and plugs holes in the suit that could prove fatal in vacuum or toxic environments. Soldiers are not always fond of the swish skin that oozes gel on them at a moment's notice, but fatalities have dropped sharply since the system was implemented. Of course it has, because that's what they're there for. Kinetic barriers, shields. Kinetic barriers, commonly called shields, provide protection against most mass accelerator weapons. Whether on a starship or a soldier's suit of armor, the basic principle remains the same. Kinetic barriers are repulsive mass effect fields projected from tiny emitters. These shields safely deflect small objects traveling at rapid velocities. This affords protection from bullets and other dangerous projectiles, but still allows the user to sit down without knocking away their chair. The shielding afforded by kinetic barriers does not protect against extremes of temperature, toxins, or radiation. Okie doke. Alright, let's go. We've got mass accelerators. A mass accelerator propels a solid metal slug using precisely controlled electromagnetic attraction and repulsion. The slug is designed to squash or shatter on impact, increasing the energy it transfers to the target. If this were not the case, it would simply punch a hole right through, doing minimal damage. Accelerator design was revolutionized by Element Zero. A slug lightened by a mass effect field can be accelerated to greater speeds, permitting projectile velocities that were previously unattainable. If accelerated to a high enough velocity, a simple paint chip can impact with the same destructive force as a nuclear weapon. However, that kind of mass effect technology does not exist. Otherwise, artists would save us from the Reapers. However, mass accelerators produce recoil equal to their impact energy. This is mitigated somewhat by the mass effect fields that rounds are suspended within, but weapon recoil is still the prime limiting factor on slug velocity. Okay, so we've got small arms. Modern infantry weapons are micro-scaled mass accelerators, using mass-reducing fields and magnetic force to propel miniature slugs to lethal speeds. Nearly every gun on the battlefield is laden with features, from targeting auto-assists to projectile shavers that can generate thousands of rounds of ammunition from a small internal block of metal. It was long thought that personal weapons had plateaued in performance, but the Geth proved all theories wrong. Mathematically reviewing their combat logs, the Geth found that in an age of kinetic barriers, most firefights were won by the side who could put the most rounds downrange the fastest. The combatants were forced to deliberately shoot slower to manage waste heat, or pause as their weapons vented. To eliminate this inefficiency, the Geth adopted detachable heat sinks known as thermal clips. While organic arms manufacturers were initially doubtful this would produce a net gain, a well-trained soldier can eject and swap thermal clips in under a second. Faced with superior enemy firepower, organic armies soon followed the Geth's lead, and today's battlefields are littered with these thermal clips. Okay, so we've got tech armor and fortification. Although body armor and kinetic barriers provide significant protection for relatively slow costs, technically savvy soldiers sometimes go further. Tech armor is the common term for a complex series of field generators that disrupt incoming force using a stationary warp effect. The theory is that bullets would normally shatter on impact instead break apart when they strike the field. The field then bleeds away the shrapnel's kinetic energy. The standard design for tech armor traps the warp field between two low-yield kinetic barriers to protect the user from the field itself. When the outer barrier fails, the warp effect is discharged, potentially harming anyone nearby. For this reason, many soldiers modify the armor with a haptic-style light effect to warn allies not to get too close. On missions where stealth is paramount, this effect is disabled. Cynical soldiers joke that the design is called tech armor because if it was simply called warp armor, no one would use it. Okay? The fortification approach uses high-energy batteries and superconductive devices within the armor to create a Foucault current effect. Essentially a magnetic field that can immobilize metals, even non-ferrous ones. The field is triggered by sensors similar to those in a kinetic barrier. It is powerful enough to protect against most modern weapons, but there are drawbacks. The currents cause metallic objects to hold their position relative to one another, and although the field only lasts for a split second, it creates resistance that can slow or fatigue the wearer. Without specialized training, a soldier can quickly become exhausted or stumble at the wrong time. Right, well, that is all of the Codex logs so far read. That's about all the time I've got for today. I hope you guys had about as much fun as I did. If there are any games you'd like to see me play, feel free to suggest them down in the comments. And I'll see you guys in the next one. And have a splendid day.